I told him this cake wasn't going to be enough for everybody, but he still insisted on eating it. All right, now when we get in there, I will lead with singing, and then you guys just kind of follow in behind me, and then we'll go from there, okay?
What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Martin, aka Level, here on the Level Up channel, and today we are here to react to Agust D, the Trilogy. Very special video for the birthday boy. Now, I did react to the whole D-Day album by Agust D. Unfortunately, the first time that I had uploaded it, YouTube didn't like that I uploaded it all at once, so it made me dissect it down even further and upload each video individually. It was very stupid that YouTube made me do this. Because I hated it, because I'd rather it just be one long full reaction to the album rather than separate multiple videos that you all have to go back and click on. And yeah, no, that's annoying as hell. Since I did that reaction, you guys have been asking me, can you react to the music videos, and specifically the Trilogy? So we are going to be doing that today. And the Trilogy, the 3 videos we're going to be reacting to, I believe consist of Haegeum, AMYGDALA, and Daechwita. I hope I said those right. I hate mispronouncing names. Y'all know that. Now, you may have seen like a little clip at the beginning when you clicked on this video. However, at the end, I do have something pretty fun, pretty interesting for the birthday boy, again, aka Suga. I even got the little birthday hat on. Y'all see it. Grogu's got his little birthday hat in the background. Now, the homie Suga is turning 31 years old today, which is insane because he does not look fucking 31 years old. I'm 26 and homie looks 10 years younger than I do. It's amazing. They all have great skin. But anyways, guys, we are not going to waste no more time. We're going to get straight into it. This is going to be a very long video. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to get this out. I'm hoping today on his birthday on the 9th. If not, it'll definitely be for sure the 10th. Before we get into him, if you could please leave that like, comment, and subscribe, as this really does help out the channel moving forward. Without any further ado, let's get into the music videos. Alrighty. Gotta have them subtitles turned on. God damn, just took all these chopsticks. What's he supposed to eat with his hands now? He's like in charge of some gang.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 이 노래는 해금, yeah. 올라타봐 지금, yeah. 복작되는 리듬, 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금, yeah. 이 노래는 해금, yeah.
Somehow I just watched a man get brutally murdered, and I I didn't even care because I was turning up to the beat. Just what the hell, with some damn chopsticks. This boy is savage.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 이 노래는 해금, yeah. 올라타봐 지금, yeah. 복작되는 리듬, 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금, yeah. 이 노래는 해금, yeah. 올라타봐 지금, yeah. 복작되는 리듬, 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금, yeah. 이 노래는 해금, yeah. 올라타봐 지금, yeah. 복작되는 리듬, 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금, yeah. 해석되는 자유, yeah. 개소리는 out, yeah. 표현들의 자유, 어쩌면 누군가의 조금 살고 그거한 자유일런지 당신의 판단과 추측이 확실한 신념들이 있는지 당신의 자유와 타인의 자유가 동일하다 믿는지 그렇다면 주저 말고 올라타봐 금지된 것들로부터 해봐 각자의 취향조차 이해들을 못하는 불행한 이 시대를 살아가는 이들을 위한 이 노래는 금지된 것을 푸는 것뿐이지 허나 자유와 방종의 차이지만 부디 구분하길 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 올라타봐 지금 복작되는 리듬 또 다른 해금 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 쏟아지는 소원들은 세상의 자유들을 금지시킨 가동시에 사상의 통일성을 원해 왜 내 머리 앞에 각종 오이즈는 눈을 가리고 이제는 생각에 좌우조차 범의 각종 논란들은 판단들의 혼란들을 야기시키고 또 쉴 틈 없이 생산되네 과연을 금지시키
Okay, I had to make a pause here really quickly because, damn, he's killing the hell out of this thing. I don't remember it being this good the first time I watched it. And don't get me wrong, I remember the whole album being good. But damn, he's murdering this shit right now. One thing I do want to kind of note real quick is this little scar. I know it's just kind of effects for the video, but homie could rock this goddamn look the whole time if he wanted to. This shit is, that scar is absolutely elite right now. That shit is insane. I'm digging it. He could, not that I would want him to get hurt, but if he wanted to, he could just have like a little makeup to make it look like this car. He could rock that shit full term. I'm digging it. It's making him look like even more ruthless and more of a badass. I don't remember too much from it, but I do remember, you know, majority of the songs from the album. I do remember this one, just I don't remember it being this damn good. But this is not what kind of music video I was expecting with this shit, to be honest with you.
과연을 금지시킨 건 무엇일까 어쩌면 우리 자신 아닐까 자본의 노예 돈들의 노예 중고심과 편견 혐오의 노예 유튜브의 노예 플렉스의 노예 이기심과 탐욕이 미쳐나 지내 눈 감으면 편해 모든 게 뻔해 이득에 따라서 뻔히 갈리는 결의 시기와 질투에 다들 말해놓은 둘이만의 서로가 서로에게 족쇄를 거는 것도 모른 채 정보의 쓰나미에서 쓸려내려 가지 말길 우린 자유와 방종의 차이지만 모두 구분하니 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 올라타봐 지금 복작되는 리듬
Why is this shit so intense?
또 다른 해금 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah.
Look at all the corruption he was just talking about throughout this whole goddamn music video. That's insane. And imagine you're the lead, you're the, you know, the leader of a big ass organization and they turn their back on you due to all the corruption. Who can you trust nowadays? God damn, this world is just, it's corrupted, y'all. He was talking about it earlier. We're slaves to this, we're slaves to that, and he brought up the YouTube one. I feel attacked on that one. Like, I feel that was, you know, directed to me. I mean, y'all saw it. YouTube didn't even want me to upload all the album together. They told me individual or nah, bruh. So there I was doing whatever the fuck they told me to do. Yeah, that's crazy. I was not expecting that. That's wild. This is giving me like the Dark Knight Joker vibes here when the Joker was leaning out the cop car window. He's kind of got the hair like it too. That was the place he was at originally, wasn't it? That was the same chopsticks. And I think before I was saying like, hey, Haegeum or something like that. It's Haegeum. Obviously, that's what it sounds like he's saying. But alrighty, y'all, we're going to get right into this meaning and story explained by Bookish Theories. Again, go shout out to them. I do use them pretty frequently. There was so much shit going on in that music video. So much. I mean, I was honestly, it felt like I was watching a goddamn movie, not a music video. But there's a lot of stuff I'm sure I missed. A lot of stuff that, you know, I definitely want to go back. So again, this is going to be a long video for each song of the trilogy. We are going to deep dive and go into the explained as well as the meaning of every single music video. I've listened to it. Now let's put the music and the video together to find out the deeper meanings.
Hello and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about Agust's Haegeum, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of the lyrics and the music video to see what they can tell us about the concept and story of this official solo debut. Haegeum is a song written and composed by Yoongi himself, and its title is a wordplay that actually refers to two different things. On one hand, the Haegeum is a traditional string instrument whose sound can be heard throughout the song itself. On the other, however, Haegeum can also be translated as the lifting of a ban, thus implying that this is a track that uses music to encourage people to free themselves and go against certain rules. As the chorus tells us, this song is a Haegeum. It's a call to lift a ban that we as the audience are meant to join, as Augusti introduces us to this new type of rebellion. According to the press release, the song pushes an idea of freedom to people who appear to be free, but are actually bound by suffocating social standards that restrict them. Much like the album as a whole, this is a concept that was inspired by Yoongi's perspective, and more specifically specifically by his life as an idol as well as his experience with social media. As he explained in the Road to D-Day documentary, for instance, one of the main inspirations behind the song is the restrictions that idols have to endure for no reason. Even if on a general level idols don't commit any crimes or do anything that controversial, people hold them at such an impossible standard that even the smallest thing can become the biggest scandal. As we see in a second, for instance, the video includes multiple scenes of Agust smoking
cigarettes.
And this is one of those actions that are only considered scandalous if it's an idol doing it. If you saw any other adult smoking a cigarette down the street, you probably wouldn't even notice it, but if an adult idol is caught doing it, then people start talking and questioning his character. In a sense, Yoongi decided to include those scenes as some sort of test, because if a 30-year-old smoking a cigarette becomes a controversy, then one has to wonder where we should accept this insane standard to begin with.
Someone smoking a cigarette isn't going to really bother me. So when I was watching him do it, I just thought it was part of the music video. You would have never known, or at least in my opinion, I would have never known there was a way deeper meaning to it. And shout out to Bookish Theories for pointing this shit out, because y'all know how they're so intelligent as a group. I mean, even himself, Agust, he threw that little part. He throws in those little parts in there like the fucking cigarette. And the meaning, there's such a deeper meaning to something so small, and right over my head it goes.
Following these thoughts, Agust created Haegeum to start questioning these useless restrictions and lift those bans that exist for no reason. This is a song about freedom of expression. It has the goal to liberate what is forbidden, but make no mistake, the message of Haegeum is not that we are free to do and say whatever we want. As he explains in the song, even interpretation is free, and there is a big difference between freedom and self-indulgence. If your beliefs are reflected in your thoughts and judgment, and you think that your freedom is equal to the freedom of others, then this song is for you. You understand that people should be treated equally, and that if you can do certain things, then others can as well. If in contrast you think that your freedom of expression is more important than others, then it becomes self-indulgence, and it can become the cause of someone's death. At that point, we can no longer talk about freedom of expression, because your actions limits the freedom of somebody else. This is a discourse that is painfully relevant when it comes to idols, and in more ways than one, this concept applies to all of us just as well. As he explained in the documentary, Haegeum was also inspired by his experience with social media. In this day and age, we have access to a world of information on the palm of our hands, but oftentimes we use this tool to kind of restrict each other without even realizing it. Yoongi explained that there were times where he felt like his life was kind of limited by events happening on the other side of the world, but then he realized that he didn't have to walk on eggshells that much. People can live like they want, and Haegeum is a song that is meant to remind us of this simple truth. In the second verse, for instance, Agust criticizes social media and the negative impact it has on our lives. The endless influx of information that we are subjected to prohibits freedom of imagination and seeks conformity of thought. What he's criticizing here is the mob mentality that people tend to acquire on social media. When somebody kind of gets engulfed by that tide, one gets blinded by the noise.
This is definitely true, because I definitely will admit, being on my phone a lot is a habit that I wish I could break just like that. But I love watching TikTok, I love watching YouTube. There's a lot of influence, whether it's negative or positive, on there for sure. And I do think it doesn't allow you to have as much imagination. And I guess I never saw it that way. If other people are posting stuff, people post stuff all the time trying to persuade you, and you may not even know. It's like I was saying that word earlier, corruption. The way people post on social media could be seen as a form of corruption, because again, they're depending on what they're posting, how they're posting it, and how they're trying to target their audience, either by bringing them in or trying to stir them away from something. Social media can definitely have a big impact on our lives, that's for sure.
Mob silences freedom of thought and feeds on unnecessary controversy, but when we are in the middle of it, we don't get it, because all that chaos confuses our judgment.
Yeah.
We don't understand that we are the ones to blame, that we are the ones restricting ourselves, so without even realizing it, we become slaves to the very system that we criticize. We become slaves to capitalism, to money, to hatred, to prejudice, to YouTube, to flexing, and none of us are immune until we actually take a step back. The moment we close our eyes, everything becomes clear. We realize that everyone was blinded by envy and jealousy, and that we were putting shackles on each other for no reason. In the song, Augusti invites us to follow the Haegeum to escape this flood of information, because by doing so we can learn to differentiate between freedom and self-indulgence. Now in the video, this concept is explored with a cinematic story that heavily parallels the events that took place in Daechwita. If back then Augusti played the double role of the king and the boss confronting each other, this time around Yoongi plays the role of a detective and a thief fighting to the death for supremacy. Now that these two stories have something in common, it's very easy to see, because even at first glance we can notice some callbacks that reference the first video. For one, the jacket of the thief bears the same dragon symbol of the king. His gang is made up of 6 men like the gang of the boss, and 3 out of 4 characters played by Yoongi have a scar on their eye. As he explained himself, the reason behind this scar will be revealed in AMYGDALA, so we'll talk more about that in that video, but in the meantime let's focus more on the story because we have quite a lot to unpack. You see, despite the shallow references that I just mentioned, Haegeum and Daechwita have a lot more in common than what it seems, to the point that I would even go as far as to say that they're almost the same story but shot in different settings. In Daechwita, for instance, the boss is a man of the people who stands up to a tyrant who beheads anybody who dares to question him. As the boss challenges his power, the king takes him prisoner, but on the night of his execution, the man who was supposed to kill him frees him instead. The executioner was one of the butchers that the boss acknowledged at the very beginning, so it was his ally all along. He betrayed.
I'm a bit sad because she said she was going to switch up stories, but she's going into the goddamn different story. She's giving up shit right now that I don't know if I'm... Maybe I probably wouldn't have been able to point that out without her help. But you never know, I might have been able to.
The king for him, and at the end he gives him the gun that the boss finally uses to shoot the tyrant. Now keep this summary in mind when we break down what happens in Haegeum. At the beginning, the video opens with Augusti as the boss of a gang followed by 6 men. He enters a restaurant that acts as a front of illegal activities, and after stealing a pair of chopsticks, he goes upstairs to confront a rival gang. Now, as we see later on in the video, his goal is to steal these people's money, and in order to accomplish this task, he doesn't hesitate to massacre every man that comes in his way. When the thief stabs the guards with the chopsticks, the 2 gangs start fighting each other as Augusti steals the money. The only survivor of this massacre is this man right here, who in turn calls his boss to tell him what's going on. This is where the antagonist comes into play, which is...
I was about to say, she hasn't pointed it out yet, but I'm just noticing the guy that had Agust D's head, like when he was pushing his head into the barrel, is that the same guy that was on the phone just then?
None other than Augusti the detective. You see, even if he works for the police, he's a corrupt detective who is actually the leader of the gang the other Yoongi just stole from. So
Corrupted
as he
cop.
sends a car on the scene, he sets off on his personal journey to find his nemesis. In the meantime, however, his nemesis is having the time of his life. Back in his hideout, he has a smoke, he does a little dancey dance, plays with his goldfish, and then he even goes out to get some tangerines, which I would argue are an essential detail in Yoongi's lore. When he comes back, however, the detective is there waiting for him, so as Yoongi the thief lays in a bathtub filled with money, Yoongi the cop is pointing a gun at him ready to shoot. This however doesn't seem to affect him, so much so that he removes the cigarette from the cop's lips and uses it to set on fire the money that he stole from him. This is proof that Yoongi the thief never really cared about his money, he just wanted to disrespect him, and this is what sends the detective off the edge. After getting waterboarded, the thief is standing in front of the detective about to be executed. Just like in Daechwita, however, there is a final twist, because the boss takes a gun out of the barrel and shoots the detective, killing him instead. If you look closely, before approaching the body of his enemy, the thief gives the weapon to the man who was about to execute him, and this man happens to be the same guy that called the detective at the very beginning. As Yoongi was leaving the premises, he saw him on the phone. They looked at each other, and he chose to keep him alive despite killing everybody else. So this implies that just like in Daechwita, all the events...
Okay, so he had an inside man working for him. Very nice. Very, very nice. But I can't lie. So much shit was going on. I didn't pay attention that he actually looked at him. I just noticed homie was calling on the phone. You know, I did notice that part, but I didn't notice this part. But
everybody else, so this implies that just like in Daechwita, all the events were part of an intricate plan to kill the corrupted leader. In both cases, the bosses allowed themselves to get captured. Both tyrants thought they won, and as they were about to execute the men who challenged their power, they were betrayed by one of their own before getting shot by their own enemy. If in Daechwita we never got to see the outcome, however, in Haegeum we do, because at the end it's implied that Yoongi the thief replaces the detective as the leader of his gang. Not only the police car drives him back to the restaurant from the beginning, but the waiter saves him right away like he is the new boss, thus implying that the cycle of power and greed eventually continues on. Before ending this video, I would also like to point out that Haegeum can also have a symbolical interpretation that fits the lyrics of the song. As we discussed before, Haegeum is about Yoongi rebelling against the useless restrictions that people give others for no reason other than to control them. If we apply this concept to the characters in our story, the events that take place in the video can also have a very different meaning. Let's say, for instance, that Yoongi the thief is the one calling the Haegeum. He wants to rebel, lift the ban, and do whatever he wants without getting judged. As he does so, however, he's also challenging the authority of the detective, who in turn kinda represents the people that Yoongi is criticizing. As an antagonist, the cop is a very hypocritical character if you think about it. He embodies the law, but at the same time he's the most corrupted of them all because he's also the leader of a gang. Like the people on social media who police idols but do the same stuff they want to cancel them for, the detectives want to punish the thief for things that he's guilty of as well. The thief smokes, but so does the cop. He steals, but so does the cop. He kills, but so does the cop. The only difference
We're not so different, you and I. One and the same person.
here is that the cop has the audacity to go after him for it, which is very similar to those people judging others for anything they do. As Yoongi evokes the Haegeum, he draws first blood by killing with red chopsticks, which in turn is the same tool that he uses to eat right at the end. This symbolically means that the weapon that he uses to kill is the same that he uses to feed himself, which is none other than his music. In real life, Agust doesn't need violence to prove his point. He uses his craft, and Haegeum is yet another example of him successfully doing so. To see what else D-Day has in store for us, we'll have to wait and see.
Alrighty, y'all, AMYGDALA. Next music video. Let's get it. Hey guys, really quickly, I'm already into the explained version of AMYGDALA. This is obviously I've already watched the music video and now I'm doing the reaction to with bookish theories on the meaning and explained version. However, I do want to caution something really quickly. In order for you to watch this video, even on YouTube, if you go to click the video of AMYGDALA, or there is sensitive visuals and topics, I guess, regarding that music video. So they make you click something in order to watch it. It gave me a whole lot of trouble to acknowledge the fact that there is sensitive content. If you would like to continue watching, I did have to do that. So heads up here for anybody who may be sensitive to certain topics regarding death or drugs or any kind of other, just, anything that's you would deem sensitive, maybe in this music video. So I just want to kind of point that out before we go in any further. Agust D obviously doesn't mean any harm. He's just, if he's going to give you that caution, just to be careful, there's sensitive topics, I'm going to respect him and do the same. So just kind of want to acknowledge that. And yeah, hope you enjoy the reaction. I definitely remember this song.
I don't know your name.
That man is gorgeous.
I don't know your name. I don't know your name. 요즘 기분은 어때? I don't know your name, your name, your name. 기억들로 여행 지우고픈 일들. 요즘 기분은 어때? 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 1993 내가 태어난다. 엄마 심장에 수술. 별의별 일이 많았지. 뭐가 이리 다 살아난지. 기억조차 안 나는 기억도 다 꺼내보자고 하나씩. 다 꺼내보자고 하나씩. 최선들의 선택. 최선들의 선택. 최선들의 선택.
So the only person we know of so far, I mean, other than in the other music video, is, you know, the cop had the scar originally before in the last video. He's now created that scar again over his eye. He had like an out of a body experience. I'm confused. Was the, I guess we'll get there later, but I guess on the moped or the motorcycle accident that he just had, was a dream, I guess, or a nightmare, I guess rather say. Now I guess he's walking towards the light. This is, God, he just makes me fucking think. My brain already hurts. I can't take all this shit, man.
그래 참 별일이 많았지 길가에 너무 심장치게 저리 전하지 못했던 내 사고 소식과 스케줄 중에 걸려 언제나 아버지의 간암 소식 최선의 선택들이 맞아섰길 그 또한 모두 지나가 버렸길 그래서 이 수많은 고통은 날 위한 것일까 끊임없던 시련을 날 죽이지 못하고 다시금 나는 연꽃이 피워내 최선들의 선택
You know, for anybody that's wondering, I believe his mom and dad are alive and well. He does go through, you know, a couple of personal things here. Again, being able to be vulnerable, this vulnerable, and want to, you know, it takes a lot to, especially as a man, to express such kind of emotions for anybody, honestly, about the shit that you have to go through. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, he says here, you know, the sounds of my mom's heart's taken away. You know, he talks about her surgery, I'm assuming. And then he talks about, you know, the call that he got at work about his dad's cancer. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I think that they are alive and well. I think I've had one of y'all say in the past that they run a restaurant. It's really good to see that, you know, moms and dad made it out, you know, alive and well, you know, especially, you know, through all the tough and hard shit that they had to go through. You know, we only have one life. You know, second chances aren't given very often. And death is the one thing, unfortunately, that no one can escape. It comes for everybody eventually, you know, and you don't want to live with regret the rest of your fucking life. You know, because of poor decisions that you've made throughout your life, you know, where opportunities that you didn't take, you just don't want to take nothing for granted, I guess is the point that I'm trying to get at. And I don't know if that's his point, but that's how it sticks to me. That's how I'm portraying it. That's what I'm, you know, that's how this song makes me feel is, you know, you don't ever want to say, I wish I could have done this, you know, instead, or, you know, take your chances, enjoy life, but, you know, don't have any regret with doing it.
전하지 못했던 내 사고 소식과 스케줄 중에 걸려 언제나 아버지의 간암 소식 최선의 선택들이 맞아섰길 그 또한 모두 지나가 버렸길 그래서 이 수많은 고통은 날 위한 것일까 끊임없던 시련을 날 죽이지 못하고 다시금 나는 연꽃이 피워내 최선들의 선택
That's a crazy ass shot, but that is beautiful. Holy hell. One right after the other, y'all. Here we are into the meaning and explained video by Bookish Series. Let's get right into it.
Hello and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about Agust's AMYGDALA, focusing on a little breakdown of the lyrics and the music video to see what they can tell us about the meaning behind this song. Now, given the subject matter of this track, please be aware that this video might contain sensitive topics that could be triggering to some of you, so moving forward, please proceed with caution. AMYGDALA is a song written by Yoongi himself that expresses his desire to erase the painful memories of the past, while also recognizing that this past is ultimately impossible to change. The title of the song refers to the almond-shaped part of the brain in charge of memory, decision-making, and emotional responses such as fear, anxiety, and anger. As he explained himself in the Road to D-Day documentary, the amygdala is the part of your brain that helps a person to survive, since it stores the memory of painful experiences. In case something similar happens again, it triggers a strong emotional response that is meant to protect you from it. This form of protection, however, can also be disrupted by traumatic events, and in many respects, the song deals with Yoongi's struggle in dealing with these strong emotions. As we see in a second, AMYGDALA is a very personal song that talks about sensitive topics about himself and his family. By his own admission, the process of writing this song was a very difficult one, but as tough as it was also an important step towards healing. Bringing up bad memories can be painful, but it also helps you learn from the very experiences that hurt you. Even if everyone copes with trauma in different ways, when it comes to Yoongi at least, his way of coping with pain is to face it through music. In his live about D2, for instance, Yoongi actually mentioned a book by Ron Marasco titled About Grief. In this book, the author actually explained that one way to cope with grief is to go in a place you've never been, write down the things that make you struggle, and then throw the paper away as a way to free yourself from the pain holding you back. In the live, Yoongi explained that his way of doing that is making music. He puts his pain in a song, then he releases it, and that release has the same comforting effect of throwing the paper away. AMYGDALA is a great example of this, because even if confronting his pain is very difficult, it's also a process that teaches him how to cope with it. As he anticipated in the documentary, for instance, AMYGDALA.
And I bet you he's helped a lot of other people face, their fears, face their past and, things that they need to cope with in order to heal and move on forward. It takes a lot of guts, especially, if you have something that, maybe there's something specific that you're not ready to move on from. Like for me, it took a long time for me to get over the death of my grandfather. I had never experienced death before then. So when he died, I mean, even to this day, it's, it's been difficult. It's been many years. But times come around, like, his birthday was back in February, but there are things kind of like him, certain challenges I had to face in order to overcome that. And I'm sure that with his album and with the song, he's probably helped lots of others get over that hump as well in the process and moving forward into healing, self-healing.
With it. As he anticipated in the documentary, for instance, AMYGDALA finally explains why the characters from Daechwita and Haegeum have a scar on their eye. This scar represents the trauma and pain that he endured throughout his life, and even if in the video we see that it's self-inflicted, this action has a symbolic meaning in its own right.
Yeah, and I kind of noticed that before. I didn't want to really say anything. I saw the scar pop up, I talked about it, but self-inflicting wounds are always terrible and something I don't wish upon any person to ever go through. Me personally, I've never had to go through something like that, so I don't truly know what it is to struggle with something difficult as that topic may be. I don't know. I hope I never have to go through and experience something like that, but I truly do pray and feel bad for anybody who ever has to go through something like this. I don't wish this upon anybody. And if this is currently you at this time, just know that you are always loved. There is somebody that does love you, and it's better to reach out. I know it may be difficult, but it's better to reach out and talk and be with someone rather than to inflict that kind of pain on yourself. Let it out, not on yourself, but share your feelings and pain with someone else. But yeah, it's just, it's sad. It's such an emotional topic. I hate, for anybody, like I said, to have to go through it.
Right. You see, according to Yoongi, all wounds and scars are made by the individual, not because we are to blame for our own trauma, but rather because we fail to learn and listen to the amygdala. As he said himself, you can't really avoid the first arrow, and even in the song, he's coping with things that are out of his control. He opens up about the accident he had as a delivery driver, his mother's heart problems, his father's liver cancer, and these are all things that were impossible to predict and therefore impossible to avoid. The scar that he gives himself, however, is not really due to the events themselves, but rather to the painful way it chose to deal with them. Yes, you can't avoid the first arrow, but when the second one comes, some people just allow themselves to get hit, and this is what the song is actually about. In both the lyrics and the music video, Jung is quite literally trapped in his own amygdala. He is trapped in his traumatic memories because he is repressing them, and until he does so, he cannot learn from them, thus giving himself a wound every time that his brain forces him to confront them. At the beginning, for instance, the video opens with Jung sleeping in a dark place. That's his own mind, his own amygdala, but as his memory brings him back to the day of his accident, the song opens by repeating the phrase, "I don't know your name."
And I kind of mentioned it earlier, and like I said, I remember when I had to react to album the first time. I do remember actually y'all talking about him being in a very traumatic accident. It didn't click right away for me. So I'm glad that, again, shout out to Book of Series for reminding me. But glad to see that he survived. He's alive and well, just like his parents. But yeah, I don't know. And then as far as like the whole scar shit, I know that he personally did not inflict any self scars on himself. The scar represents more so just the experiences he's gone through. But for those who are do go through certain situations and then do inflict that kind of pain and suffering upon themselves. Again, I just wanted to point that out, that shit like that does happen all the time. And it's just sad for anybody who does have to go through something like that. But yeah, I'm glad that I forgot that he was a delivery driver and that he did have to go through a wreck. It's been a while since I visited Agust, so I can't lie. Some of that stuff is just kind of leaving my memory, and I don't mean for it to, but it's nice to just kind of like when you're at school and you're starting to forget like certain material over the summer break, it's nice that when you come back to school, you're reminded and you go over the stuff that you learned the previous year. So it's nice to just kind of be reminded and stuff like that. I promise y'all, Army fans, I will never forget that he had to go through so much, but I'm glad that he's doing so much better now.
From the beginning, we get the sense that in his subconscious, Yoongi doesn't really recognize himself in his own trauma. As he travels through the memories of things he wants to erase, he's repressing his participation in these events, and this is exactly why he cannot move on.
So it was a nightmare.
These memories, the more they show up, the more he wants to be saved from them, and the more he gets trapped. This is because instead of accepting that these things happened and try to learn from these experiences, he would like to change them, even knowing that the past is impossible to change. He's haunted by events that he doesn't even remember, like his mother's heart surgery the month he was born, or by events that he couldn't prevent, like the news of his father's cancer while he was at work.
So is that why at the end there, now I think I get it, you're not changing of the past. Is that why when it's, when homie was crawling on the floor, crawling to the door, trying to get it to open, and then his, alternate self was running up the stairs trying to open the door. Is that why the door didn't open? Because it's an event that you can't ever go back and change. It's bound to happen. It makes sense now. I think that's what it was. Again, and I didn't realize that at first, so if y'all don't know by now, I'm very slow when it comes to this shit, or noticing stuff that's just so blatantly obvious. But again, it takes time for people like me. I apologize. It takes time, but
these are all things that he can never change, and yet he approaches these memories trying to find a solution that doesn't exist. In the lyrics, for instance, Yoongi says that he wants to unpack these memories one by one, not to confront them, but rather to see if he could have done something in order to
fix them. And he can't.
He consistently tries to understand if he made the best choice, or the second best, or the third best, but the more he goes down this rabbit hole, the more these memories destroy him. He forces himself to relive those moments again and again, and as his ego splits and becomes more fragmented, the Jung in real life drowns the pain by downing pills. In an interesting visual, we see that the medicine that he is ingesting here actually turns into almonds, and this is a scene that can actually be interpreted in different ways.
Like it's just a normal...
The word amygdala means almond. The fruit in his hand might represent a correlation between the memories stored in the almonds of his brain and him medicating. In the video, it's implied that he's taking the pills to cope, but the reason why he has to cope is because he has memories in the amygdala he cannot move on from, so the almonds might represent this association. On the other hand, however, the almonds might also be a reference to the book Almond by Song Won-pyong, which is a novel that both Suga and RM were seen reading in the soup Soap Season 1. In the story, the protagonist suffers from a condition that stops his amygdala from working well, so his mother feeds him almonds to help him develop the almonds in his brain. In the book, however, this doesn't work, and by the looks of it, neither does in the video, because despite of his medications, Young is still haunted by his past. In the lyrics, he begs to be let out. He wants to be set free from the memories in his amygdala, but
again, it's, you know, like we were talking about earlier with self-inflicting, you know, wounds, it's just not the way, man. And people, you know, and for some people who, I feel bad for anybody who's ever taken drugs, or is, you know, currently addicted or knows somebody that has gone through some sort of addiction. You always just kind of hope that they could, you know, find their way to stray away from that, overcome this addiction and move on. It's not the way, man. It's just not the way. Personally don't know if he has self-medicated. And I think I've mentioned this in the album reaction, and you guys said no, he never did that. You know, he didn't do that. There's other ways. That's all you have to say. You know, there's other ways of, you know, trying to cope with, you know, horrible things that people have to go through.
But in the video, we see that every time that he approaches the door closes, trapping him inside of his memory. As the video progresses, his efforts grow, but his failures grow along with them. At the beginning, the door is just closed. Then he approaches it and it gets locked, but the more he gets lost in his own past, the more difficult even reaching the door actually becomes. While Jung is overcome by the images of his accident, his mother on the floor, and the illness of his family, he crawls towards the door, but at that point even the space gets bent. The floor becomes a wall impossible to climb, and Jung lays there as it eventually starts to rain. Now this scene can almost be seen as his lowest point, because that is the moment he gives up. The rain washes over him, he's scarred by his own trauma, he's trapped in his own memory, and nothing seems to work. In the video, however, not everything is lost, because through his memory we finally make an important discovery. As I mentioned before, Jung is constantly reliving his accident, which is an event that by his own admission he couldn't even mention. As he recalls that series of events time and time again, the outcome is always the same, but the moment he gets at his lowest point, that is, the moment it starts to rain, the same happens in the memory. This is when something strange actually takes place. In a shocking turn of events, the Jungi of the past is able to see the Jungi of the present traveling through the memories in order to warn him. This works. Jungi avoids the accident, but when he finally gets to his front door, the door is locked and he cannot get in. Now this is the bottom of the entire situation here. The door that past Jungi is trying to open is the same one the present Jungi cannot open either. If we look at the previous scenes, we discovered that the past was knocking on the door of the amygdala all along, and it's this very interaction that elicits this emotional response. The present Jungi calls out to his past self because saving him would mean saving himself. In turn, the past Jungi comes through because it's a memory encoded in the amygdala, but its presence is the very thing that haunts his present self. By the end, we see that this struggle has no resolution because Jung is still trapped and it's still raining. Throughout the song, however, there are quite a few hints that imply a more hopeful epilogue, because by the end he not only understands that the past cannot be changed, but also that what didn't kill him actually made him stronger. Even if it's still painful to remember the past, Jungi was eventually able to learn from it, so as he slowly lets go of his trauma, it begins to bloom again like a lotus flower. Now him comparing himself to a lotus flower is very significant here, because the lotus flower is a choice with a lot of implications. For one, the lotus is a water flower that rises from the mud and blooms without stains, thus symbolizing a rebirth that is pure despite the dirt it comes from. It's a flower that is known for its resilience and strength, and in many Eastern culture, it's also considered an important symbol of spiritual awakening and enlightenment. Jung seeing himself as a lotus flower implies a change for the better that, yes, might not be portrayed in the video, but is there nonetheless. Since the song focuses on his past trauma, the video shows his experience in dealing with those painful memories, but as I mentioned before, the very fact that this song exists means that he found a way to cope and find comfort. As he said himself, the album is called D-Day because it's a day of liberation. In Haegeum, we saw him getting liberated from unwanted bans and opinions, but in Amygdala, we see the initial stage of him getting liberated from the trauma of his past.
Already on to the last video here. Again, I believe this Daechwita. Again, I'm a huge, y'all know how bad I am with fucking mispronouncing names, y'all. But Agust D, Daechwita. Again, I do remember this song as well from the initial reaction that I did to the album. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I can't even lie. Here we go. Look at all the dead bodies. I think they had said earlier that he likes like tangerines or something like that. Is that what this fruit is? Again, because there it is again.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it. This shot right here. Holy hell. Y'all know how much I love pointing out certain shots in music videos and things like that. And there were some in the other ones. I was waiting for this one. I have seen this picture multiple times, but I didn't know what music video it came from until today. Holy hell. This shot is fucking amazing. It is pure art. Mwah. This is beautiful. Holy shit. That man is gorgeous. I mean, he could fit that look every day if he wanted to, too. Damn. And I see these are not the BTS groups, but there is 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Is this a shout out to the other boys? I don't know. Y'all let me know down below. Oh my god, this, yeah, holy shit, I remember this being one of my favorite songs from the album. First of all, this shot is beautiful. Shut up, yeah, you calling me a pup? I was born a tiger. I ain't no weak pill popper like you. Damn. Damn, who the fuck is he talking about? Damn, he's just sending shots. Yo, shout out to Andrea. She had told me something a while back about, for anybody that doesn't know Joe Budden, he's a rapper from the States. But she did show me something where he was like talking mad shit about the BTS group.
Hey, y'all gonna get mad at me, but I hate them BTS niggas.
Nah, you wildin' now.
I've wowed before.
Okay.
We know. I don't want no smoke.
Tell me why.
They sound too good.
The music ain't bad.
That shit sound
you can't say
alright,
the music is bad. Tell me why though.
Do I need a reason?
Yeah, come on.
You should.
You don't have a reason?
If you don't have a reason, that's disgusting.
I hate them niggas.
But there's no reason why?
I hate them.
And there are lots of times that the BTS group so far, even just in the songs that I've watched or, you know, alone, that they don't mind talking about the haters. They don't give a fuck. And I don't know who specifically Agust D is talking about here, but I mean, he's sending shots at whoever it is. These boys don't give a damn. They want all the smoke. Okay, I gotta go back because he said something. I'm still trying to keep up with it, but who says time is money? My time is worth more than that. And I won't lie. I'm somebody who always says my time is money. So I felt personally attacked there. I'm gonna let that one slide because I love the group. I love the boy. But damn, I felt like he was talking about me there for a moment. Time is money, isn't it? Not to him. He's worth more than just that shit. Money ain't nothing but an object to Agust D.
시간은 더 빙산돼 틱탁 빈 새끼도 명상의 아침을 꽉 가끔 적이 없는 맥주 우리 박수역 비리 매좀 참 감사해 내가 천천히
Yes, sir.
약간 발달에 애잔하게 끝이 없네 재능이 없는 거지 뭐 원하는 건 모두 가졌지 이제는 물려 가져야만 만족이 될지 내가 원했던 건 너 담은 돈 담은 걸 이 다음은 도대체 뭐지
Oh my god. We gotta go back on that shit. The switch. You know I love the fucking flow switch. RM does it all the time. Holy shit. Oh god.
원하는 건 모두 가졌지 이제는 물려 가져야만 만족이 될지 내가 원했던 건 너 담은 돈 담은 걸 이 다음은 도대체 뭐지 그 다음은 그래 뭘 관심이 느껴지는 현타 위가 없는 현상 위험보다 난 이젠 강하대만 보다가 이대로 척하고 I'm a king I'm a boss 새겨놓아 내 이름 이만 산 새끼들 당장 놈에 줘 I'm a king I'm a boss 다 알잖아 내 이름 이만 산 새끼들 당장 놈에 먹을 줘
I hate that we don't get to see anything further. Like at least in Haegeum, we see homie die. We don't see nothing here. There's got to be a reason for it. That's why your boy's gonna go to the explained version and get help from Bookish Theories.
Hello and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about Agust's Daechwita, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of both the lyrics and the visual masterpiece they passed as a music video. Daechwita is a song that, much like the mixtape as a whole, reflects on Yoongi, Suga, and Agust's current
What the heck? What is up with the Kermit here?
mindset and successes, as well as his artistic growth from 2016 to present day. The title of the song literally translates into great blowing and hitting, and it refers to a specific genre of traditional Korean military music which involves wind and percussion instruments. This musical genre is usually performed by the army while marching in parade for the king. So you know what you have to do the next time that you listen to this song. But in the instrumentals, these traditional sounds are mixed together with modern sounds that belong to both hip-hop and trap. And as it turns out, this fusion of tradition and modernity is also reflected in the music video, which shows us an epic confrontation between the ruthless King Min and the gang boss Agust D. At the beginning, the video opens with King Yoongi sitting on his phoenix throne and then proceeding to admire the decapitated bodies of his enemies laid out in the courtyard. Now, if you are a fan of K-dramas, you probably recognize the palace here, because the video was shot at Daechwita Park, a very popular filming location that was featured in a lot of historical dramas throughout the years. The styling for this setting was inspired by a mix of several Korean periods, but one of the major influences was definitely the Joseon dynasty, which, as we'll see in a second, is a major inspiration for the entire plot of the video. After being introduced to the king, the narrative then moves from the palace to the market, where we see a cameo of Jin and Jungkook picking a fight with each other.
That's Jin and Jungkook. And I didn't even realize it. I'm a horrible fucking fan. Holy shit. Oh my god. How did I not notice that? See, this is what I'm talking about. I'm slow, man, when it comes to catching stuff. I gotta get better. What is wrong with me?
and we meet the character of the boss, which is the source of the king's future downfall and the leader of the coup that will take place later on. Right off the bat, the difference between these two characters is pretty evident. One is a king, the other a commoner. The first fights for himself, the second fights for the people. But what makes it even better is the way both the song and the video deal with the contrast between past and present. You see, in the lyrics, Agust introduces himself as a king born as a slave. Now he wears a crown and flies on private jets, but this doesn't mean that he forgot where he came from, because as a matter of fact, he really didn't. He was born in a ditch but rose up to be a dragon, and he still remembers the days that led him to this point, which is the reason why he lives the way that he does and knows that he has quite a lot to lose. Now, judging by the lyrics alone, you would think that King Yoongi represents his present while Agust is a symbol of his past. But in the video, the king is associated with tradition while the boss is driving a car in the middle of the palace. And this is important because, much like the scar on his face suggests, this contradiction implies that Yoongi is both of these people at the same time. On the one hand, he is a ruthless king to his enemies, who challenges the norm and is feared because of that. But on the other, he is still the voice of the people, the boss of a movement that is meant to break tradition with a modern perspective that represents those that support him. In both the song and the music video, this duality is also conveyed with a lot of cultural and historical references. The line "born as a slave but now a king," for instance, is a direct reference to the movie Masquerade, which is a period drama about King Gwanghae, who finds a double among the common people in order to protect himself from the constant threat of assassination. The events that we see in the video seem to be heavily inspired by the movie, but as it turns out, the references to this king go a lot deeper than that, because in the lyrics, Agust compares his flow to the mad tiger Gwanghae. You see, Haegeum was the 15th king of the Joseon dynasty, and even if modern scholars have been redeeming his name by praising his wisdom and
shout out to Bookish Theories for giving me all this helpful information. I would not have guessed any of this shit. And maybe because, you know, it was a movie that obviously it was like probably a movie he grew up watching or idolizing at some point, and who this person was, but yeah, I wouldn't have got this. There's no way. Shout out to her.
strength. Throughout history, he was known to be a very violent and ruthless tyrant. Since he was the son of a concubine, Gwanghae was not the original successor to the throne, but because of his leadership skills and political abilities, he was appointed as crown prince and later on as the official successor instead of his older legitimate brother. Despite he defended his country even after the king ran away, his reputation during his rule was heavily affected by rumors that historians are now considering mostly false. And much like what we see in the video, his reign ended with a coup that happened overnight. Now, even judging by this little summary I just gave you, it's easy to see why Yoongi chose this character in the first place. Much like him, Haegeum was not meant to be king but became one because of his talents. His reputation was consistently tainted by his enemies, and even if he defended his country, he was considered a tyrant that didn't deserve recognition. In the video, Agust is now playing the tyrant that his haters make him out to be. They wanted a mad king and now they got it, and he's not messing around this time because he's coming straight for their heads. Even if they call him a pup, he's nothing like them, and he doesn't even need to flex to prove it because his enemy's pathetic behavior speaks for itself. This is because, much like he anticipated back in Give It To Me, he cannot live like a dog because he was born as a tiger. Now, the tiger is a very important symbol here because in Korean culture, it is an animal that represents courage and pride while still conveying a sense of superiority that inspires fear and respect. The tiger is a noble animal that has nothing to share with the dogs that bark for attention. They're just below him, so without any hesitation, he just kills them all. What's interesting here is that Yoongi is not saying that his success made him a tiger, but that he was born as a tiger, meaning that in comparison to his enemies, he is not superior because he's famous, he is superior because that's the way that it is. Now he may be king and he might be a dragon, but he was always a tiger, so while he shoves his past in a rice chest, he knows that he's standing on what it is. Now, these lines here are very interesting because the rice chest is a reference to the story of Crown Prince Sado of the Joseon dynasty, who was executed by his own father and died of starvation inside of a rice chest. According to the story, Sado was put to death because he tried to kill the son of an official. But since according to the law the body of a royal could not be defiled, the king had to get creative and find a way to kill his son while keeping his body intact. The solution that he found was to tie him with a rope and seal him inside of a rice chest for 7 days. And even if this sounds like a horrible act, this method of execution actually spared the life of the prince's family and saved his legacy. Now, the fact that Yoongi is a king and is choosing to seal his past in a rice chest implies that he's finding an alternative way to deal with the struggles that doesn't involve a complete erasure. He knows that the past made him the person he is today, and he knows that he needs to acknowledge that in order to maintain his roles. But he's choosing to deal with his struggles privately, saving what needs to be saved and killing what needs to be killed. To a certain extent, we can say that this idea is also loosely portrayed in the video itself, because much like Prince Sado, Agust is taken prisoner and tied with a rope. Now, Agust here is the boss of the story, the man of the people and the past that is reclaiming his place in the present. He's the one who was there since day one and the part of him that people can relate to the most, because all the clothes, the money and the goals the king has in the present are the result of the dreams that the boss had in the past. It's thanks to him and his 6 gang members that revenues go up and Bank PD dances in his studio. He is a genius that became a king because he realized that time is more valuable than money. But to his people, he's not a tyrant that lost touch with reality. He is a guide that can lead them to revolution. This idea is perfectly conveyed in the video because when Agust is about to be killed, the executioner himself is the one who sets him free. Now, this part is very interesting because this scene was actually foreshadowed since the very beginning. If you look closely, the 2 executioners that we see in this scene right here are played by the same actors that play the butchers at the market. And this is not a coincidence because, as a matter of fact, they are the very same people. You see, these characters are a close reference to the Baekjang, who were the untouchables of Korean society and were forced to be butchers and executioners because they were activities that were deemed despicable by society as a whole. Now, the fact that Agust is being helped by one of the untouchables implies that his message is able to resonate with people that come from all walks of life. No matter who you are or where you come from, no matter how much people hate you or disrespect you, Agust will be your voice and he will be your fighter. But once again, this reference goes even deeper than that, because if you look closely, Yoongi is wearing a necklace that looks exactly like the mask that is used to represent the Baekjang in theater. This implies that not only he leads the untouchables, but that he identifies himself with them, meaning that even after all he has accomplished, he is still the untouchable of the system that he rules and that still wants to destroy him. If in Interlude Shadow he wanted to be king, and in Tony Montana he felt like Scarface, now he is the king and he is the boss. But people still come.
You know what's funny is, I know I'm not talking much, all this just seems like a goddamn, I feel like I'm in the middle of a goddamn history class. I'm just taking everything for what it is. It's all, this one is probably one of the most complicated. And for most people, it'll probably be like, bro, it's not even that complicated. There's so much information with this, man. And it's like every time they try to just fuck with your brain, every time they make a music video plus a song, it's like, you know, the music video might be a little bit hard for them to understand at first, but then we're going to make a complicated ass, complex video to go with this song to just fuck up their minds even more. I feel so goddamn lost. I'm just taking all this information in, bro. I have a goddamn headache. But yeah, it's funny that with the Scar, the one person I can't lie, and it's funny that she brought it up, was Tony Montana from Scarface. I mean, he's a legit boss, you know, of his gang. You know, he's the leader. He's a boss, man. That's what he is. And you know what's funny is, while I'm watching these, whether one is a king and one is just, you know, a boss, or in the other one was a cop, you know, different levels of power, but they all have their own kind of power. And that's what Tony was looking for the whole time. You know, he was looking for that success. He was looking for that power. Unfortunately for him, it was the end of his life. You know, searching and seeking for all that power is what overcame him. And Agust D is obviously, he's more brighter than that. But, you know, as I was watching, you know, the king, the cop, the thief, the boss, as I'm watching them all move with their own kind of power, I can't lie, that's what I was thinking of the whole time. So it's funny that she mentioned Tony from Scarface.
For his neck, no matter what he does. This, however, does not change the fact that he is at the top. But this kind of power also implies a reality check, because by realizing that he cannot get any higher, Yoongi also accepts the fact that now it's time to look down and put his feet on the ground. Now, these lines here are very similar to the lyrics that we can find in interlude Shadow, Black Swan, and on. And to a certain extent, this implies that the final confrontation between the king and the boss can be compared to the confrontation between the persona and the shadow. You see, for Yoongi not to become the tyrant that people make him out to be, he needs to stand his ground and look at himself in the face. Even if he's the king and he is the boss, he also understands that there is a limit to his greed. And in order not to overstep it, he has to kill the tyrant by wearing the mask of the untouchable. In a way, this is the part of him that the king might have hidden inside the rice chest. That side, that is, that represents the essence of his artistry and that is meant to give a voice to the voiceless. When you are at the top, it's easy to forget why you started in the first place, but Jung is not allowing himself to forget. So at the end of the video, Agust D shoots the tyrant by using an army revolver. This implies not only that you are the greatest weapon he has against his enemies, but also that you are the medium through which he keeps himself in check. You destroy his haters and you keep him grounded in reality.
Stay humble.
So next time you feel bad about yourself, stream D2 and give yourself a break.
Yeah, that was so much information, but it does make sense. I mean, it's insane. It's easy to get lost throughout the success. You know, everything that comes with fame and money and, you know, being a celebrity. It's easy to lose yourself within that process. So again, it's dope for him to stay humble, recognize that maybe at one point I was losing myself. You know, or before I start to lose myself, I got to remember where I came from. I got to remember where I started, who I was, so that I don't lose myself in the process, that I'm not overcome by the money and the, you know, the fame and the fortune, you know, all that shit, man. There's no denying it. He's a fucking genius. Alrighty, y'all, I said that I had a pretty special video for you guys at the end. This is an older video of them celebrating Suga's birthday. They're about to give him a cake here and things like that. I'm gonna incorporate, you know, being the 8th member of the group. You know, they clip out. They're not ready to announce me yet, but I was there. So I'm going to show y'all some deleted scenes footage. You'll kind of see the original video. Here you're going to see the video that I was in. But if you want to just go see the original video, I will put that in the link in the description down below. But this is the video that I was in, unfortunately. Like I said, they had to clip me out, you know, and crop me out a bit because, you know, they're not ready to announce me as the 8th member of the group yet. You know, I'm sorry, but you're lucky for you guys. You're watching me and you're watching the channel, so you get to see the deleted scenes and footage that was deleted. That would normally be hidden from the public, you know. So congratulations to you. You get to witness that. Before we get into the video, I just want to say, if you could please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Happy birthday to Suga, and happy late birthday to J-Hope. This little thing that I'm about to do here in just a moment is going to be out to you guys. This video, unfortunately, is just for Suga only, but just know the little celebration and confetti, that's all I'm going to say, that I'm going to have at the end of the video. That was for both J-Hope. Happy late birthday to him, and for Suga. I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction to the trilogy. Like I said, there was so much information going on. It was so hard to keep up with everything. But yeah, like I said, that's going to go and do it for me, folks. Make sure to leave that like, comment, and subscribe, as this really does help out the channel moving forward. And yeah, let's go ahead and get to this bonus clip for you guys.
형 듣지 마. 야, 갖고 싶은데 이거.
Ooh, that's nice. What kind of cake is that? Vanilla with strawberries? Oh, he gonna love that.
여러 번 말했잖아. 말했잖아. 근데 이거에 이제 미소한테 이거. 근데 뭐
But I thought we gave you the $50. This is a small cake. This ain't gonna feed everybody.
가서? 여기서 불 붙이자.
I told him this cake wasn't going to be enough for everybody, but he still insisted on eating it. All right, now when we get in there, I will lead with singing, and then you guys just kind of follow in behind me, and then we'll go from there, okay?
All right, y'all, here we go now. On 3, ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Suga August D. Happy birthday to you.
예? 형 15살.
아니 아까 나 집 갔다 왔는데 5개밖에 안 했거든.
형이 마음만은 5살.
자, 우리의 서프라이즈 파티 윤경의 첫 마디는 왜 초가 5개냐였습니다. 역시 윤경이다.
2019년 소원 한번 말해주시죠.
형 생일빵 안 맞죠 아직?
자, 대표로 정국이가 때린답니다. 2019년의 소원.
오케이 형 소원 말하고 생일빵 갈게 엉덩이.
오케이, 가자. 가자.
자, 이거 혹시 우리가 K 들어도 수 있으니까.
좋아, 내 손까지 같이 해서 해줘.
성글쌤도 한 대만 때리고 있다. 2019년의 소원은 내가 생일빵을 안 맞는 겁니다. 네.
그런 소원은 무효입니다.
축하해요.
생일 축하해요.
축하합니다.
네, 이렇게 슈가 형까지 하면 생일 그 퍼레이드 한번 끝나잖아. 그랬지.
네, 이제 9월까지 없지.
근데 9월이 나부터 시작이 나야.
오늘 뭐예요, 생일이?
하고 싶은 거 없습니까 형님?
뭐예요?
뭐 별로 하는 거 없는데.
오늘 안무
나
원칙.
가족들이랑 밥 먹고 왔어.
아 그래?
방학기 같이 할까?
안돼.
소감 한번 얘기해 주세요.
HBD 슈가.
27살이에요.
이제 곧 얼마 남지 않았습니다.
아이고 형이 기부를 하셨다고.
야, 부자네. 박수 십시오, 여러분. 좋은 세상이 되라는 의미로. 좋은 세상이 되라는 의미로.
영어에 못 많아서 멋있는 사람 되기도 하겠습니다.
네, 이제 뭐 매년 또 생일이 있으니까 크게 막.
윤기 형 지금 되게 부끄러워하는데 되게
자,
쑥스러워.
윤기 형 부끄러울 때 나오는 리액션이죠?
네, 아무튼 뭐 내년 생일이 있습니다. 뭐
생일 당연히 내년에도 있지.
브라질 여러분들도 감사하고 멤버들도 감사하고. 축하해요.
감사합니다.